last weekend, the sixth and latest film in the Insidious franchise released into theaters. I have watched every single Insidious movie. Today, I'm going to rank them for you guys. Before I dive in, if you would, subscribe, like button, hit the bell. Comment down below what is your ranking of the Insidious franchise. I feel like a lot of our rankings are going to be very similar to one another because, in my opinion, this is a franchise that has a lot of good movies. My top movie is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and a lot of the other movies are really good. And then you get the bottom two, and the bottom two are two of what I would probably consider the worst horror movies ever made. They're bad. It's a stinker. And real quick, if you wouldn't mind going to YouTube, if you are into sports, Zach Dollar Sports. I started up a sports channel. The link will be, actually, I would have put it up top here to go check out my new sports channel that I'm starting, talking about college football and, you know, every sport. Because if you didn't know, I am a massive sports fan. And with that said, let's dive into the Insidious ranking. Number 6, the worst film in the Insidious franchise, and it's a bad one. It is awful. It's Insidious: The Red Door. Now, if you don't know, Insidious 1 is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Spoiling the ranking later on, but you probably already know that because I've already said it numerous times on this channel. But there's that. And then Insidious Chapter 2 I thought was a solid ending to these characters. What do you do in Insidious Chapter 5? You bring them back. Now, that could be interesting. Oh, they're having different repercussions from those events in those first two films all these years later. What would this movie be about? Could they pull off a compelling story to bring back these characters inside this world? And the quick answer is just no, absolutely not. We end Insidious Chapter 2 with the family forgetting, the family going back to normal. That's a great ending. We open up Insidious: The Red Door with them remembering, and then a whole bunch of weird stuff happens. None of it's compelling, none of it's creepy, none of it's in the slightest a decent version of what it could have been. It's just slop, I would say. It's stuff that we've seen in PG-13 horror movies before, stuff we've seen in this specific franchise before. There's one specific sequence that is scary, per se. By scary, I didn't get scared at all while watching it. I just thought it was clever enough, and it was like when he's doing pictures up on the board. That's the one sequence in this entire film that is not utter dog water. But back to the story. Did this movie have a story that is convincing enough to bring back these characters? No. What do? We bring them back into the fold. They start having their memories come back. And then we end off the movie the exact same way we closed out Insidious 2. In short, this movie is just a cash dump. Did it work? Yeah. It was very profitable. It grossed $189 million worldwide on a modest production budget of $16 million. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. All for Insidious 5 to be a copy, rinse, repeat of Insidious 2. It's bad. I hate that these movies make money. I'm happy that Insidious 6 makes money, because if you saw my review, you know that is a very good, I'd say it's more original than any other movie in this franchise besides the first one. Happy that one made money, but Insidious Red Door being considered very profitable, I hate it. It makes me mad beyond belief, because a movie that just has no soul, no heart, and it's just the exact same thing that the last, or the second film was, just gets under my skin. It's directed by Patrick Wilson. And everybody was excited to see what Patrick Wilson could do in the director's chair. What did he do? Nothing. He pooped the bed. In my 5th spot, I'm going Insidious: The Last Key. This is one that I actually just watched for the first time 2 days ago, I believe. I don't know. I tried to scrub it from my memory. I pushed watching this one off as long as I can, because I've heard nothing but awful things about it. Now, I'm not one to be like, oh, I've heard bad things, so I'm not going to watch it, unless they're movies that, like, there's other things I could be watching that are better. But I had to watch that one so I could put out this review. Should have just lied and said I didn't, or just lied and said I watched it and made up some bullcrap because that's pretty much exactly what I can do because this movie sucks. Now, the only thing that pushes it above Insidious the Red Door is that it is more of an original story. It's about Elise, her backstory. That is way more compelling than the exact same thing as 2, just done even worse. This one has a couple of plot twists, has a story. Is any of it compelling? Negative, Ghost Rider. It's not, but it's got an original story. And, you know, Lin Shaye is really good. Where do I begin with this dumpster fire of a movie? Man, I don't really know. This feels like a direct-to-video Insidious movie. Like, you can even hear it in the mics, that it doesn't sound like they're using proper mics. It sounds like they're just clipping on a cheap mic. That's the way the movie sounds. The way it's shot just feels very cheap. Probably because the movie was very, very cheap. And so, like, it's not even... It's hard to consider it watchable. Because there's a story for the first 45 minutes of the movie, and then we just go down this weird path with this demon, and what's the demon doing? I don't know what the demon's doing. It's really freaking weird. And then you got her family issues, which just keeps throwing random things at us, and it could be interesting, except it's just throwing random things at us that don't make sense to the plot. And then it all comes down to a third act when we finally go inside the further, like we do in every single movie. It just sucks. Like, it's Lin Shaye laying there and crying. And then the demon, which isn't even a cool demon design. This franchise is known for some very cool demon designs. You got Makeup Face, you got the one in Out of the Further. This one is just a demon. I don't know how to describe it. It's very typical. Yeah, does he got keys for fingers? Yeah, but it's, like, it's not compelling. It's not cool. And then, to cap off the cake, we do the exact same thing that Out of the Further does with the mom stuff, with the emotional mom stuff, except this one doesn't hit because, number one, it's touched on for 2 seconds. Like, the mom just walks in. Lin Shaye's mom just walks in, and, I should just show you.
Hands off my little girl.
Are we serious? I thought, oh yeah, the demon's for sure coming back. That is how the demon's defeated. The mom comes in, she picks up a lamp, and she's just like, boom! Get out of here, boy. Movie over. Bad. 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 Bad, bad, bad. And so my last 2 in this franchise are just 2 truly awful horror movies. From here on out, I gave this one 1.5 stars. From here on out, by the way, just so we're clear, The Red Door's a 0.5 star movie. Okay, I just want to be clear. I guess you could say this one's a big jump up from that. They both suck. Anyways, from here on out, my number 4 is a 3.5 star movie. Speaking of my number 4, it's Insidious Chapter 3. I watched this one last January when Wolfman came out for Leigh Whannell, because I did a Leigh Whannell ranking. It's one of the first videos on the channel. You can go check it out if you want, or if not, because I'm literally putting my phone, it's on an angle like this, and I'm talking. Like, now I got a webcam, I got an actual microphone. I'll prove it to you real quick. Hello. But anyways, I watched this movie for the first time then, and I gotta say, it's fun enough. Like, it is a very basic, predictable version of this, but it's fun enough. I thought the cast and the characters were all likable. I like seeing Lin Shaye and her character Elise. This is the first one where she's, like, completely in the further, helping out from beyond the dead. I always like that aspect in these movies, and so that was fun. I think the main demon is pretty cool in this movie. There are a few sequences that you are on the edge of your seat for, but overall, like, Insidious Chapter 3 is very basic. There's not so much to remember from this movie, where in Insidious 1, 2, and Out of the Further, which, if you're done the math, those are going to be my top 3, those have those memorable sequences. This one, like, there's a few of them, but there's not a whole lot to remember, because it is just a very basic version of this franchise. But I'd rather a basic version than one that is just an absolute boring dumpster fire. And I do like Leigh Whannell as a director, and he brings a few of his Leigh Whannell-isms to this movie. So I had a good enough time with Insidious Chapter 3. Kicking off my top 3, before I do that, if you would, go down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below what is your ranking of the Insidious franchise. I would love to know all that and more. That is why I do these, not to share my opinion, although that is a big part of it, but to hear your opinion is my favorite part of this. So please tell me your ranking in the comment section below. And with that said, number 3 is going to be Insidious Chapter 2. I was shocked to learn that not a lot of people really like this movie. I was shocked. In fact, I was shocked to learn that the first Insidious only had a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes anyways. But still, shocked to learn that people aren't a big fan of this movie. Because besides some pretty obvious pacing problems in the middle of the movie, I thought this one was solid. I thought it was good. James Wan is... Jenna Ortega's in this movie? What? Okay, so side note, I pulled up like my notes, or very least Google, to fact check something off camera. Jenna Ortega's in this movie. I completely forgot about that. Cool beans, I guess. James Wan is back in the director's chair for this movie. And what James Wan does best as a director is able to craft some pretty edge-of-your-seat thrills. He did in the Conjuring movies. He did in the first Insidious. This one has those thrills. I think the main demon is kind of creepy in this movie. The bride, I always loved this family. At least before the Red Door. Like, they sucked in that movie. But I like hanging out with this family. It tells a very close personal story, while also telling a story that has stakes because it's threatening to tear this entire family apart. So on that level, I thought this movie did a really good job. As a sequel to the first Insidious, closing out this family story, I thought it was compelling. I thought it was satisfying. I still really enjoy this movie. Now, like I mentioned, there is some pacing issues here and there in this movie. Like, there is some really slow moments. We spend a lot more time with Elise's partners, who, when done right, can be really funny. But when done wrong, they can be like in the last key and just hit on women and try to kiss them without their permission. It's weird. That was weird. But, yeah, like, we spend a lot more time with them. Their story isn't super as compelling as the family story. So there is pacing issues. I still think Insidious Chapter 2 is really solid. My runner-up's actually going to be our new one, Insidious Out of the Further. Now, if you didn't just skip to the end like a weirdo and you listen to what I've been saying, you would know that this franchise has been on a downward spiral, with Insidious 4 and Insidious 5 both being below 2 stars for me. One of them not even having a star. I just slice one in half and give it to it because I'm going to give that movie as much effort as that movie gave us. But anyways, yeah, my runner-up is the new one. I was very surprised by it. I really liked this one. Thought the first half had some actually pretty compelling scares, a really claustrophobic sequence, which I thought was incredibly solid and edge-of-your-seat stuff. And then you got some dentist stuff. Our main protagonist is a dentist. Gross. How did they do it? I could not do that, but had a lot of gross sequences that had you squirm in your seat. But the highlight of this movie for me was the second half, where Insidious Out of the Further is just a completely fresh take on this franchise. Like, it goes a Marvel route, I would like to say, where it very clearly has this big battle, these big consequences, and like the way it's ended is in this big fight. It goes the Marvel route, the typical blockbuster route. And normally that can be boring. But when you get the finales in Chapter 4 and 5, where they're just so boring, doing something like that brought some fresh life into the movie. How it closed everything out was very controversial. A lot of people aren't liking it, my brother included. Me, I loved the way the movie ended, and I'm like, this is actually really good. And so I left the theater like, I really liked Insidious Out of the Further. I'm really struggling to find something to dislike. Now, it is another movie in the Insidious franchise. It does still have the PG-13 horror tropes. Look over there, look over there, look over there, look back. Ah! Alien scares you. Yes, did I just do that to show off this? Yeah. Look how cool he is. Look how cool he is. So, I went to this real quick story. You guys got a minute? You do? Okay. I went to this mine tour. It's an abandoned mine. It was a tour. And there was a shop selling things like this, made out of metal and scrap. So, like, see back here, like the alien's tail is nails. This is all metal scraps. Isn't it pretty cool? I've had it sitting on my desk for a while, and I've meant to bring it up. But, yeah. It does still have the typical stuff, but overall, Insidious Out of the Further is pretty great, man. But my number one, and as much as I liked Out of the Further, I have to say fairly easily, is the original Insidious. Now, I watched this one when I was 16 years old. Now, I am a Christian. I was raised in a Christian household, which means my parents believe that if you watch movies with demons in it, you're going to invite demons to your house. Do I believe that in the slightest? No. No. It's a movie. The demon is either CGI or a person in a costume. It's not like you're not inviting demons in your house, okay, if you watch a demonic movie. I always thought that was kind of crazy. If you got offended by me saying I think it's kind of crazy, good for you. That's just my opinion. But Insidious was really the first haunted house horror movie I've seen. I saw Lights Out. Lights Out's actually probably the first one, but this one was probably the first one of the first ones, and the best one. This one's great. Not only does it introduce you to this cast, these characters, you love Patrick Wilson, Rose Byrne, this family that you care for, and then these other characters that come in to help, Elise, her partners. You love and care for all of these characters, but you also have some pretty thrilling sequences. And I'm not just saying that because I was scared when I was 16. Sequences in this movie still get me to squirm. Not only do you have the greatest jump scare of all time in a movie, but you do have some pretty interesting scares. And believe it or not, before the first Insidious, this idea of going into the further that like is so prominent in horror history now, that it was introduced in that movie. And so it's got an interesting spin on the genre while also being pretty scary. You care about the characters. The first Insidious is always going to be one of my favorite horror movies. Not only because I hold it really close to my heart, but just because I think it's a great movie in general. So that was my ranking of the Insidious franchise. Stay tuned for a review of the Dog Stars. I see it in 3 hours. I don't know how to feel if I should be excited or not, but we're going to do it. And then, again, Zach Dollar Sports. If you're into sports talk, go subscribe to that channel. With that said, subscribe.